off, including free shipping and free returns. You could even buy it for yourself. We won't tell nobody. It could be a big secret. Maybe you don't have a Valentine. That's fine. You'll get it in the future. Get the watch now, though, because it's 20% off. mvmt.com/official VDay20 for 20% off. Nice watches. I've got like 2 of them, maybe 3. If I check one of my closets, and they are very, very nice.
Stylish and affordable.
Exactly.
I want one.
What do you think?
Better than flowers.
What is the single best thing about Japan? If you had to pick one thing about the entire region, what would you say is the absolute crowning jewel of Japan?
Fuck. That is a really big fucking... I'm so crap at answering these questions like this. What's the best thing? What's the worst thing? And I get asked it a lot. Fuck. Let me think about that one. Let me give me a minute.
Let me give you some direction if it'll help. What's the one thing you think?
Let me tell you what you love in Japan.
Yeah. Here's a list of good things, Chris.
You
Pick
like
one of
their
these.
wacky game shows.
Yeah. No, I mean, let me direct the question a bit to get your thinking going. What's the one thing that you think Japan is doing that everywhere else in the world should be doing?
Oh, I thought you were just going to ask my question again.
Well, no, it's not necessarily his favorite thing, but it's something like unique to Japan that everywhere else should take after.
The taxi drivers don't ask questions; they just drive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Wait, do you guys not have Uber?
No, the taxi lobby is so powerful they don't want it here. They've been able to tell Uber to fuck off, and it hasn't really
That
worked
sounds like
out.
Turkey too. When Uber came to Turkey, a bunch of cab drivers just got together and started banning it and beating the Uber drivers up, and then the president's banned it. Uber is not well received, man.
It's so great though. You can just choose an option for them not to talk to you.
is.
It's so convenient.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, I thought of the best thing about Japan, and it's an all right one. It is the service culture. There's a saying here in Japan that customer is God, and you feel almost like a godlike figure when you walk into a shop in Japan. Like I remember when I got my iPhone 8 or 9, whatever it is, I went into the NTT Docomo, the shop, and after we did all the contracts and stuff, they got down on their knees and handed it to me like a dagger, like a sword I was going to use to vanquish my fucking enemies, and it was just an iPhone 8, and I felt like a fucking king. It was glorious. But like every place you go into, you feel like a king or queen when you're in Japan. Like you feel like a god, and I love that. It's incredible.
Does it not make you feel a
empowering.
little bit awkward? Because I think I would feel awkward if...
Yeah.
No, I'd definitely play into that.
Same.
I'd take it and start knighting the workers there too. Like it just
Yeah.
something
I'd
probably take offense to that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
but it's
has its
some
benefit.
minimum
It can be
wage
intimidating.
teenager who had to go through training to like get on his knees and worship some fat fucking neckbeard asshole. If he spits on you, you look it up and you say thank you.
I think one of the things is like when you go in a restaurant here, everyone shouts like "Irashaimase," or if you leave the restaurant, everyone shouts at you. And often all the staff in the entire restaurant will like stop what they're doing and shout goodbye or hello. And that can feel a bit intimidating. I remember when I first turned up here, that was kind of scary. Like just leaving the restaurant, if you're trying to be discreet, it's not discreet because everyone in the restaurant turns and they're like, "Bye, see you later, have a good one," and it's just like shit. I wanted to leave quietly out the back door.
Okay, that is awkward.
Swings and roundabouts, but there's no tipping. That's another good thing about Japan. We don't have to tip here. There's no tips. So restaurants and cafes, dining out is a lot cheaper than say the US or the UK.
Are they paid
We don't
well,
tip here
or
either.
do they just not get the money?
I think they're paid a little bit better, but there's an expectation in Japan. The problem with a tip, right, is you're evaluating someone's service, right? And in Japan, they want their workers to be giving 110 fucking % every time. They shouldn't have to they don't want customers to evaluate how good you are at your job because you should always be giving 110%. So the tipping thing would actually make it a little bit awkward, if that makes sense. It kind of makes it awkward.
Do they feel like they're being judged?
Exactly right. It's that whole feeling of being judged. But when you work at a Japanese company, you have to sort of take away a degree of your humanity. Like it's far less common to have like banter with somebody when you're at a restaurant or a shop. People working at these places have to be quite robotic. They have fixed phrases. They have certain ways of acting. It's all a bit odd. But again, customers God, and it can feel kind of cool. But I remember after living here for 2 years, I went back to the UK for the first time. And I remember just trying to talk to all the staff and all the places at the shops because it was exciting to be able to talk to them again like normal as people. Because in Japan, you have to be kind of this almost robotic figure. And it's all rather odd in that respect. But yeah, you take the good with the bad. The service quality is good, but a bit of humanity is taken out of the equation, I feel.
Was it weird to go back to the UK and like go to a restaurant? Like, why aren't you guys sucking my balls? What's going on? Why is there no cheers?
Why aren't you giving me my fucking cheese flavoured crisps on your knees? Why aren't you bending down? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Why aren't my Cheetos being handed to me like a sword?
I didn't realize that tipping was. I guess it's more common than I thought because we don't tip over here in Australia either.
I think tipping is only in the States and the UK, right?
And
I thought it was only in the States. To be honest,
it's in the UK too, isn't it?
It was in the UK as well.
I mean, I remember the first time I was in the US, like all British people, we have to go to Florida to Orlando, to Disneyland at least once. And I went, and we went to a place called the House of Pancakes or something. I don't know if it still exists.
Well,
is it a thing?
Is
it good?
Somehow it's still alive, yeah.
House of
Wait, is that
Pancakes.
IHOP?
But like the next table, the table over from us, decided not to tip their waitress, and I remember when they walked out, she started crying, and it was a really big deal. And that's when I realised how serious tipping is in the US.
It's not her
extreme.
being entitled though. It's literally part of their salary. In America, we we underpay servers, and they're supposed to make that up with tips.
It's honestly, I don't get it. It's so fucked.
It's extremely fucked. It should be abolished everywhere, but it's an old tradition we just don't let die. I fucking hate tipping.
I think tipping we made up the shortfall. We gave her a big tip to try and cheer her up. So nice British tourists.
The difference is tipping when it's a necessity, when it's needed for them to make a livable wage. That's a negative. But if it's just on top of like
I think they should be. I think they should be paid a livable wage, but also if, the delivery guy is giving me a pizza and ordered a bunch of fucking shits and it's like snowstorming outside, but I'm gonna tip him. It's just a nice thing to do. Like, thank you. If I can afford it.
The practice
but not giving him that tip shouldn't make him cry. Like that's if they're driven to the point where they need those tips.
Yeah.
Right. That's fucking cruel. They shouldn't have to rely on the tipping.
It should be
just
optional.
left a profound impact on me as a 9-year-old British kid in Florida. I remember feeling quite emotional and thinking, wow, I should tip people more. It's just a rather bizarre situation.
And then you went to Japan where tipping is illegal.
And then there's no tipping here. Or there's no House
You
of
hated
Pancakes.
tipping so much you moved to a country that doesn't do it.
Very true.
There's robots. You give them like 1 yen and they'll, no, I can't accept this. You're insulting me and my ancestry. Commit seppuku in front of you.
God.
Jesus.
No, man, that sucks. Pay these people. These poor fucking people who have to deal. Most of all, like airline. What do they call them? The hostesses,
flight attendants,
stewardesses. Yeah, like waitresses, stewardesses. Dude, they deserve more money than a fucking doctor. They deal with way more shit. I feel bad for them.
Absolutely.
So, Chris, you probably get
Tip your waiter.
You probably get this question constantly, but I'd love for you to bring it to our show. What would you say is the weirdest or most bizarre thing you've seen in Japan?
I think the hostess bar culture is something I still struggle to wrap my head around. I don't know if you're familiar with it. To be honest, I wasn't really familiar with it before I came to Japan. This whole nightlife culture.
Give a rundown for everyone
it?
Listening.
I only know about it through Yakuza games.
Oh, is that where you can...
Yeah, I was going to say, if you play Yakuza games, like you'll know it quite well. Like you go in a hostess bar and you're treated like a king. And you go in, there's lots of women, and you sit down and they'll sit next to you in your group. Often you're going with a group of people, your salarymen, colleagues, whatever, and they'll sit down with you. And they'll pour you whiskey, they'll light your cigarettes, and they'll kind of massage your ego, make you feel like a king, and then they'll make you do karaoke for extortionate periods of time. And it's quite a surreal situation, just having like two girls sitting around you, pouring your whiskey, putting microphones in your face, lighting your cigarettes. I remember the first few times I did it, I was like, oh, that's just quite good. But then you have the same sort of superficial conversations and it feels a bit weird, and there's a real superficial nature to it, because the girls, who are very good at it, they're very skilled, they do often just ask you the same questions, and it just feels a bit weird. Coming from the UK, to have to pay quite a lot of money, we're talking as much as $40 an hour, $40 an hour for this bespoke service. It just feels like you're just paying for friendship. You're paying for somebody to talk to you. But in the town where I used to live when I first got here, in Yamagata Prefecture in the north, that was all there is. There's no fucking nightclubs. You go out to a restaurant, you have a drink, and then you go to one of these hostess clubs and you sit there and you have 3 or 4 girls sit around you and tell you you're amazing and tell you you're the best thing since Harry Potter and fish and chips, and they'll reel off every fucking thing they know about the UK.
All right,
and they're like, wow,
fine,
you're Harry
we'll go to
Potter.
Japan.
Wow, fish and chips. Wow, the Beatles. And those are the 3 things that they always bring up about the UK. So depending on what country you're from, I don't know what they would say for America. Hamburgers.
I'm
Actually, surprised they let you in.
cheeseburgers.
I thought normally they barred foreigners from doing it.
No, that's a common misconception. That's never happened to me. Honestly, if you hear that, that's bollocks. I've never been anywhere where they haven't let me in. The only place they do that is like in touristy areas where they get loads of tourists and they've got like a little gentleman's club or something of locals, and they just don't want foreign tourists just coming in and crashing the nice little quiet bar. But that doesn't really happen.
How much English do they speak then? Like, I don't know. I got the misconception. I watched a documentary on this a while ago, and I thought they were very, very much just like a Japanese culture thing. So like they're not going to speak English or cater to tourists. It was very much like...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I get all of my Japan lore from Andrew, so now I feel like all of it's wrong. So Andrew said if I ever go to Japan...
No, like people here don't speak English that well. The grammar's just so different from Japanese. But they will try. And if you go to a bar... if you go to a bar and drink with people, it really opens up. Like people here, after they've had a couple of drinks, they'll just talk so much English. It won't be the most grammatically accurate English, but they'll try and they'll have a laugh. You just need to give them a couple of beers and it all kind of unlocks it. It unlocks the English. So, but no, it's plenty of English around.
What about tattoos? Andrew always says if I go, I'm going to get like in trouble because of my tattoos. Is tattoos like a strictly Yakuza thing, or is Andrew still misled by video games?
You're exaggerating. It was definitely not. I wasn't saying you were going to get beaten in the streets. I'm saying there are some bathhouses that won't let you in. That's all.
All right, that is kind of accurate.
I'll take it.
Because of the association with tattoos and the Yakuza, it can be a little bit tricky to go into like a hot spring or like a public bathhouse. They can be a little bit dodgy about that. And I think your tattoos, in particular, Charlie, might be a little bit difficult to cover up because a lot of people can sort of hide them, but yours are quite visible on your arm, aren't they?
Are tattoos culturally looked down on, or just accepted as a Yakuza thing?
It's weird. I think a lot of people...
If you just did the Western trashy, I'm going to get a tramp stamp, like that's not acceptable.
Your mum's name on you.
It seems really outdated, doesn't it? Because obviously if you're coming from the UK or the US, Australia, you're not going to be in the Yakuza. So it's always felt a little bit weird. It's just those historic connotations, I think. Those kind of historic context.
I played Yakuza. I could do it. I know how it works.
Andrew knows how to pedal drugs.
You don't know us.
Yeah.
Wait, Chris, do the Yakuza still exist in any capacity?
They do, but their numbers are pretty heavily diminished. They're not really around much.
Do you know any?
Not personally, no. I don't really have any friends who are in the Yakuza. I'm not in the Yakuza.
That's
I'm
just what a man
member.
would say if he was in the Yakuza.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm on to you.
They do exist, but... the old government had a clamp down on them and their numbers have really gone down. Like, there's just a lot of Yakuza just really don't see the point of being in it anymore because it's just too difficult to live. They kind of disappeared and faded away.
Did they at all get like desperate in their dwindling numbers? Did they start doing crazier shit?
Recruiting Fortnite gamers or something to get their numbers up?
I remember one time I had to cancel a hotel booking because there was a shooting in Shinjuku, Tokyo, just out the front. I was going on a date at the hotel and I had to cancel it because I was like, sorry, I can't go to the hotel with you because someone just got shot out the front. But it's pretty rare. No, it is pretty rare.
Cancel a date for that? You're not dedicated at all.
I feel like having a shooting isn't a good background for a date.
Could have been a really cool story though. Like, yeah, he was there for me, but I got him first. Kind of like what Kaya said initially with Logan Paul.
Should have used it as an excuse. Yeah, they just blew some guy's brains out at the reception. Wanna come over to my place instead?
No blood and gore here.
Smooth.
Smooth.
But yeah, I mean, the tattoo thing, I think you'd be right. Just if you go into some hot springs or something, or Bath, a lot of them might just say no. But you could just go in anyway and break all the rules. The odds are they won't call you out. So I have a lot of friends that just don't care.
They'll like that.
They'll be down on their hands and knees worshipping you as you break their rules.
Finally,
Some soap massa.
after 1,000 years, someone finally does it. The prophecy.
So you brought up bathhouses. That's another thing I wanted to ask about. Like in anime and stuff, you see
how
everyone
naked do you have to get?
you see everyone like bathing together, like everyone's naked around each other. Is that super common?
Oh yeah. I like did that 2 or 3 days ago. Like a lot of towns have like public bathhouses, and a lot of accommodation in Japan has like a bath, like an onsen, hot spring. And you typically go there like after you've had dinner, nice dinner, whatever. You'll pop in there and you'll just sit there naked. And it sounds weird potentially, and it was weird the first few times I did it, but after a while, it's bloody nice. Like there's something quite therapeutic and relaxing about just sitting there naked with some friends having a chat in a hot spring. It's bloody beautiful. Most people love it. Like that is the one thing you got to do if you come to Japan. You've got to go to a hot spring. And if you do have tattoos, and it's difficult, just rent somewhere that has its own private like hot spring bath in it, and that is a pretty good solution.
So, are people who have tattoos just considered like
Badasses.
dangerous bikers in Japan? Yeah.
There's like rebellious
Here's a
figures.
tattoo.
Bad boy figures. They're the ones that have tattoos.
God, is that a clock on his chest? Holy
Damn,
fuck, this guy
okay.
means business.
I should get one of those corny, what is it called, tribal tattoos on my shoulder before I go to Japan, just for the street cred.
Get a skull tattoo on fire on your elbow or something.
But don't commit. Get one of those, what do you call them? The ones that you just wipe off you? Like the...
the temporary?
Yeah,
Temporary
temporary
tattoo.
tattoos.
Like a
Just get one of those.
a tattoo sleeve. One of those corny ones too, like, yeah, I love guns and fireworks. What of it? I'm American. Skull and bones.
Guns and fireworks. What a combo.
Whatever.
Guns and fireworks. That sounds like the name of a really shit indie band, doesn't it? Guns and fireworks.
What an
Just the
awesome
American
tattoo.
pastime. Fuck
I
yeah.
love cheeseburgers and boom booms.
So,
Gun, sex, and rock and roll because I'm a Republican. Yeah, Stars and Stripes.
so how do the Japanese view nudity then? Is it just something that doesn't even register on their radars? They don't care?
It's weird because people aren't really allowed to wear like revealing. Well, they are allowed, but people don't wear revealing clothes in public, right? Like we have in the West, where people, girls and guys just wear whatever they want
bikinis.
and show all the flesh. That doesn't really happen here. People don't show off their flesh in public and stuff. It's only public bathhouses and hot springs. So it's a weird thing.
The bathhouses, they're like sex segregated, I assume.
They are, but some of them are mixed gender, and that can be a little bit awkward from my experience. So I try and avoid those. That are just a bit odd.
Yeah, that would suck.
Take a first date there.
God, yeah. Well, I just remember going with my girlfriend once, and there were just like 3 guys in the corner just staring at her, and I was like, "Why is this a thing? This is a shit idea." We left quite promptly at the time.
Was it her idea to go there or yours?
That is a weird
I know,
idea.
right? It's fucking weird.
See, I would have warded them off with defense tactics. I would have like spread my anus and walked towards them and shit.
Slapped your cock against the water.
Got an erection while looking at them.
Scratch your balls.
It showers into a fight by splashing your cock around.
Oh, God.
Switch it up on them, just start having sex, and then they're the cocks. They're
yeah.
watching you.
That is something you've got to do when you come to Japan.
Have
You're gonna
sex
be that
with your
guy that does
girlfriend.
that. In a mixed onsen. Break all the rules.
Yeah.
Why not?
So what's something that...
That'll be...
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, sorry, you go ahead. I was going to say it would be so fucking awkward if the 5 of us are in a bathhouse naked.
Do a podcast episode from it. Oh, we should actually do a podcast
with our dicks out.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
That'd be great. It sounds like weird and creepy, but the awkwardness like disappears very quickly, from my experience anyway. But it is a little bit awkward for the first few minutes, just having your dick out in front of all your friends, but it goes away.
Would your dick shrivel up, or is it like hot, is the water warm enough where you don't?
The
have
water's
to deal with
very
that kind of
hot, so that doesn't happen.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's like 45 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty hot. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's 50, I think. So.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
Okay.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
Chris,
What's a shrivel up?
what's something that Japan's doing right now that the rest of the world doesn't even know about? Like, do they have any fads that are interesting or anything that they're super into that people don't really talk about? What do you see on the streets of Tokyo?
On the streets of Tokyo. Fucking hell. Not a whole lot at the moment because of COVID, unfortunately.
Well,
It's
probably the
shit
worst
time.
expression I could have used, but you know what I mean.
Oh no, I've recently discovered an interesting topic that I'm thinking about making a video on called Johatsu, which means evaporation. And it's a thing where people just up sticks and disappear in the night. So say you decided you hate your life, you get this company in, like a Johatsu evaporation company, and they'll come in and they'll do all the paperwork, they'll do everything you need to just disappear and fuck off and go. And all your friends and family won't know where you've gone, what's happened.
That is not at all what I expected. I thought the Japanese were just super interested in watching things evaporate. Pour water on the ground and just watch it go.
That'd be pretty cool too.
Wait, how do you know that though? That's you call the vacuum company, you say you need a replacement part for a vacuum, whatever the hose number 447, and then you pay $200,000 and he makes it disappear. That's a thing in Japan?
How do you know they're not killing
myth.
people? Or assassinating people?
How do you know they're not killing people? It's a curious thing, but like there's so much social pressure for people here, right? Letting down your family, your friends, whatnot. Right. People get really embarrassed, and there's a lot of shame. And one easy way out is to spend $2,000 to get a company to come in, tidy up all your apartment, put your stuff in the back of a lorry, and fuck off to the other side of the country and start all over again with a new identity. And it's a really interesting phenomenon. And I'd love to make a video on it and actually interview some people, but I know a friend of mine, his brother did it actually.
$2,000 and get disappeared and like document the entire process.
I could do it and make a vlog about it and be completely redundant, wouldn't it? Because I'll be showing everyone what I'm doing. But I think it'd be quite fun. But yeah, no, one of my friends did it. A good friend of mine, his brother just disappeared one day, and that was it. He was gone. And then about 10 years later, he resurfaced in a massive city, the other side of Japan, and he was like, "All right, I'm over here now." And he was like, "What the fuck? Why did you just go?" And it's so weird, like this concept. I just love the way it's called evaporation. It's kind of sounds quite chilling, doesn't it?
It's really cool, into the actually. Night. I think that is fucking awesome.
Do you want to evaporate?
No, not at all. But I just love the idea that it's out there. It's so fucking cool to think about that.
And it's a legitimate, like, professional service. Like, they actually do it. You know, it's not some sort of shady Breaking Bad character. It's an actual company that'll do it for you, which I think's bonkers.
I can't believe they're actually able to pull it off. That's what's insane to me. Like, because our lives are so like online and such. Like, all your information is out there. Your identity.
Well, I think the company kind of takes care of all that for you. They make sure like you're completely wiped off the map. You're gone into the night, and they do it at night typically. So. Yeah, evaporation.
Yeah, but the government has to be allowing this. There's no way that this can happen against the government's will.
I think in Japan, it's very difficult to get the government to help you out with such matters on like privacy and stuff. Like if you want to find out where someone is, you're not allowed to go into the government records or something. Like it's pretty hardcore here.
Okay, but what about like tax and stuff?
But if you were, say, the girl or the guy who was killing people on Twitter, the suicidal people, if he wanted to vanish, there's no way the Japanese government would allow that, right? Even if the company wanted to try that, they'd find him.
Probably, in that case, because he'd committed a crime, they might be able to, do some certain things to get around it. But for the most part, they can't. If someone just disappears, like if I choose to disappear tomorrow and I haven't committed a crime, there's nothing anybody can do to find me, basically. I can just go.
But the evaporation company would still, I assume, have your customer records, like records of you
Yeah, but how
hiring
would you
them.
know which evaporation company? Say my friend is like, shit,
true.
where's Chris gone? They're not going to know which company I used or where I went, and the company's never going to tell them. So it's a pretty effective service, really. It's pretty damn effective. It's sounding more and more
I wanna
tempting
move
by
to
the minute.
Japan.
Kind of want to do it now.
Yeah.
I do it for a laugh.
I think you should.
thinking.
That's
Go for
super
a month.
interesting.
I want to disappear and start a new podcast in Japan under an anonymous name.
Just start a new YouTube channel like Dave in Japan and wear a wig and a silly fucking face mask. Change my voice.
I'll be another Turkish guy. I'll be Hasan. Hakan. Was that the guy in Street Fighter?
Hakan.
Yeah,
I think
Hakan.
so.
Yeah.
A calm. But there's all
that is
sorts
fun.
of weird services like that. Like a popular service that's you always see online is the one where you can hire a family, right? You can hire like a family to just come with you. Or
What?
I've seen that
there
one.
was a story. There was a story, I
sad.
think, just 2 weeks ago of a guy who you pay to do nothing. He'll just come with you to do things. You won't do anything. He'll just sit there and eat. But yeah, you could just pay a guy like $20 an hour, and he'll just come with you and do nothing. Does that sound fun?
It's a great deal for that guy. He just gets paid to sit around and do fucking nothing.
Apparently, he's pretty popular though. Like he'll go along to like with people who are doing difficult things where they don't want to go alone, like to do contracts and stuff. If he just turns up,
I think
he'll
that
just
is
sit there
fair.
quietly, being intimidating.
I think
he's
that's
done
very
some pretty
fair. That
crazy
sounds like
stuff.
Fiverr, where you guys know
It
when
is
on
like
Fiverr,
Fiverr, yeah.
girls were like, "Hey, pay me $5 and I'll play Overwatch with you."
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if there's men willing to pay for that, fair enough. It's like It sounds like in Japan that is become officialized to the level of a John Wick universe, where you can hire a person to do anything for you with a gold coin.
Yeah, I mean, he costs. I think what does he cost? He costs 10,000 yen, which is about $100. He's 37 years old. His name's Shoji Morimoto, and he will not do anything except eat, drink, and give a simple response. That is all he does. A simple response.
I quit the podcast. I have a new job. I like
awesome.
that.
I really like that.
It's way better.
Like to sell
I'll
himself
drink
on
high
Twitter.
shelf sake and say yes or no.
He's to sell himself on Twitter. He's written, "I offer myself for rent as a person who does nothing. Is it difficult for you to enter a shop on your own? Are you missing a player on your team? Do you need someone to keep a place for you in a queue? I can't do anything except easy things." And I think he's had since he launched his services in 2018. He's had 3,000 clients, so he's probably
Holy
minted.
shit.
I really
For a
like
man that
this
doesn't
guy.
do anything, he's successful.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I'd hire him.
He's
How
been
do I
hired.
apply?
He's been hired to have lunch. He's been hired to pose for photographs for Instagram, accompany someone filing for divorce, or catch butterflies in the park, and also to listen to healthcare workers struggling with their work.
I
which
love
is actually
it.
quite a
I
noble
love
thing.
this.
It's quite nice.
I unironically think this is awesome. I think we need
We all
more
need to
people to
show
do
you.
this.
I unironically want to be that guy. How do I quit this job and get that one?
You have to learn
Talking
Japanese.
about dicks and farts on into a microphone. How do I catch butterflies under a cherry blossom tree? That sounds heavenly.
It does sound good. But yeah, we all need a Shoji Morimoto. I'd love to hire him.
yeah.
If ever I need some content for my YouTube channel, I'll just hire him.
We should
Bring along
hire him
day.
for the podcast and just have him chime in every so often.
Oh yeah, only ask him
Does he
really
speak
simple
English?
questions.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Shori?
Does he know the English words yes and no?
We could
I
teach
don't
him.
know if he knows any English, but we could try.
Damn it.
we could teach him if he cares
Teach him
enough to
English.
try.
He'll give a simple response in English.
You could be the translator.
It doesn't have to be English either. We could just ask him something and just wait to hear his Japanese and assume he agreed.
It's not gonna work for an hour.
It's good enough.
But like, I think it's kind of sad. I mean, it sounds funny and cool, but like the main reason people rent him is because they're bored or lonely. And in Japanese culture, like the reason these services exist, like hostess bars where you pay girls to talk to you, is because there's a lot of obligations, right? In having friends, you don't want to burden your friends with these problems. So people turn to these sort of services to help them out and get around that feeling of obligation, right? And that sense of guilt and shame that accompanies it. It's just easier to pay for someone who you don't know, just sit and listen to you or pour your whiskey or whatever. So it's a really interesting thing that's very hard to wrap your head around unless you kind of understand the way Japanese culture works and the sense of guilt and shame that accompanies a lot of day-to-day kind of aspects of your life.
Yeah, I get